So I'm kind of stingy. I try not to book things too far in advance. I try to keep my schedule sort of rolling only a few months ahead of time. And I can do that to some extent so that I've got flexibility in my schedule. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. If you really want to go for it, and you're hoping to capture, like sometimes you can plan for it. Like some events are um, they're not always consistent, but they happen roughly the same time every year. So, for example, in the American Southwest, there is the potential for flowers blooming every spring, usually in March or April, depending on what part of the desert. It doesn't always happen because they need a certain amount of rainfall or they need a big snowpack that melts to produce conditions that are conducive to flowers blooming in the desert. And so if that's something you want to photograph, you can plan every year to keep that block of time open in your schedule. And then you can wait to hear if there's any flower reports coming from people before you head on out there and make a commitment for it. So that's something that's a little bit easier to do. But when it's something like a volcano that's completely unpredictable, I don't know, you just have to cross your fingers that something happens when you actually have some free time and you can get out there.
Yeah, because from some other guests that I've spoken to recently, especially photographing, let's say tornadoes, it always helps when you sort of live in the general area where that's happening, because then it's well, it's happening, you're there, you get right into it. But of course, predicting those events is near enough impossible sometimes, especially with like you mentioned with volcano eruptions.
Mhm.
So it's got to be tricky.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, storm chasers, for example, know in the US, in the Great Plains, the time of year when they're most likely to get the tornadoes that they're looking to photograph. And usually if you block like a week or 2 weeks of time during that peak season, there's a pretty good chance that you'll get something. And I'm of the opinion that photography is all about putting the time in. And basically what we are doing as photographers is we're waiting for the real world to spontaneously align with the creative vision that we have lodged in our brains. And so there's a lot of patience and persistence that are required. So that's usually the way I try to plan my photo trips. If I'm hoping to capture something special, I'll definitely put a lot of energy to focus on that, but it's always a good idea to have a fallback option so you don't go somewhere for 2 weeks and just waste your time and money.
See, this is something I'm learning, because my background is as a photographer. It's I work a lot in the studio. I'm a portrait photographer, and I create the lighting, and so from where I am, I control the environment.
And, I've led some photo tours in Lofoten, and I've always told my clients, it'd be great if we get the aurora. Chances are pretty small. Let's, don't focus all your energy just on that because if you do, chances are you're going to walk away disappointed. Instead, just shoot what is available to you and have a great time doing it. And then if we get this magical alignment, we get clear skies and good aurora, then that's great. That'll be the icing on the cake. But otherwise, if that's why you're here, hoping that that's going to happen, it might not. And so it's better to walk away feeling good about a trip than walking away disappointed. And I think that disappointment occurs when expectations and reality just don't align.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.